But anyway, let's start practice. It is 6:01. So if anyone has a question, let me know at any point in time. I will put us on mute just for comfort. You can take yourself off mute. You can type your questions in the chat box at any point in time. It's not an interruption by any means, so feel free. And other than that, we'll get started in our practice. So, welcome. If you'd like to start laying down, feel free to lay down. If you want to start seated, you might start in a seated shape using a pillow or a blanket or a block or something to prop your tailbone. Even if you're choosing to lay down, you can grab a pillow or a blanket for the head. So whatever you'd like to do. And then from there, we might shift around within our seat until you'll close your eyes or let the gaze soften. And allow yourself to take a few breaths here and arrive. It's going to definitely be more than a few breaths, but just let that be continuous. Noticing the warmth of the breath or the coolness of the breath. And eyes might be completely closed, or gaze might be soft, not looking at anything specific. Feeling the temperature on the body. Notice maybe even now where there might be some clenching or gripping. And can we gently let ourselves release into those spaces? Our focus of practice will be this idea, this web of connection. And we have multiple different webs. So in our yin practice, we focus on the web of our fascia and how that connects us from head to toe. So maybe imagining the fishing net or the spider web and the many different ways we describe it. We also have the web, the mycelium within the earth, right? That web of connection through the mushrooms and the trees and the bushes and the soil. There's a web of connection there. Then we have another web of connection in terms of our internet, our World Wide Web. Right? And technology itself is also on this webbed network that, again, is not easily seen. If we want to go on to bigger webs, right, that's what quantum physics and metaphysics and all of these other scientific aspects are about. So there's multiple web of connections that we as humans interact with and experience. Some of them are more known than others. And maybe you find comfort in seeing the parallel of these systems. But for our focus of practice, thinking about the web of connection here within our internal body. Connecting us from head to toe, communicating with our different muscles and cells and organ systems. And as we breathe into this web of connection, we'll be guided by it throughout our practice. As we allow ourselves to let go of any unnecessary tension, any clenching, any gripping. And so maybe take another breath where you are. And we'll open up our practice with a few breaths together. Let's breathe in through the nose. Then open the lips to exhale. Again, like that, deep breath in. And a deep breath out. This third time, hands might stay relaxed. One hand might rest on the heart, one hand might rest on the belly. Maybe both hands come into prayer at heart center. And depending on where you're starting practice, you might take another cleansing breath. You might join me within the sound of Om. filling the vibrational space within this web of connection. Together, let's take a deep breath in. Very gently bowing the chin towards the chest. Just taking a moment to allow your breath and the vibrations to settle within the heart space, and to reverberate off the walls of the inner body, and to seal our intentions for practice. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes, bring the hands away. Take a breath. If you're laying, we'll gently come back up to sit, no rush to get there. Maybe you're on your belly, right? Just gently come back up to sit, take any movements along the way. We'll start in deer. So if you're sitting cross-legged, or come to a cross-legged shape so that your left shin stays in front of you and your right knee rotates behind you. So if I were to just turn to the side, the right knee and ankle rotate in, your toes can be to the top of the foot like that, or the top of the foot can rest on the floor. Maybe your toes point out to the side. It just depends on what's best for your ankle. So no right or wrong. We're looking to fold over this left shin. So you might take your blocks or books and stack some things here. I don't know if I mentioned, but you could take a pillow or a blanket and prop your tailbone too, especially if you're feeling just a little lopsided, which is natural since we're shifting and tilting into our pelvis here. So you might not fold, and you might just stay a little bit more upright within the stretch. And so this could be just as meditative. If you'd like to, if you have the space, you might walk your forearms down. You might hold your head within your hands. Hang out here. You might have the space to fold a little bit more deeply. You might just use one pillow. You might just come to the floor and use one block as you fold over the shin. So just follow your body. In the event that you still don't experience a lot of stretch, let me start our timer. When the left shin is close to you, it's less stretch, right? But as you open out the shin and let the body fold, it'll be deeper stretch, kind of like a pigeon experience when we open out the hip. So feel free to find the best variation. We're not going to measure. It's not better to have the shin over there, the shin over here. So just find what works best for you, depending on how your body feels in this very moment. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. And so playing around with the props. From there, settling into stillness until the body directs you to move again if need be. And then we begin to arrive. We're here in the stretch, happening instantly. Our mind might begin to observe the sensations that we're feeling. The mind might label the sensations. And you can only do that for so long before it becomes a distraction. So when you're ready to pay attention a little bit more deeply, we can then notice the rest of the body here and allow our layers to begin softening, letting go of any clenching or gripping in places like the jaw and places like the shoulders. Just gliding your awareness through the layers of the body. Even in the subtlest of ways, your hands and feet might be clenching or or tense in a way that doesn't assist you in the stretch. If it does, keep it. But if it's helpful for your mind to analyze, if it does not assist you in any way, then that might be a good indication to soften. Arriving a little more deeply, soften does not mean weakening. Soften just means that we are becoming more receptive to the body's experience. Or we are becoming more receptive to the breath. Softening and letting go of unnecessary tension helps us become more receptive to our thoughts and our feelings, to our memories and our ideas. Checking in with your breath. We'll be here in deer for a few more moments. If you'd like to stay here a little bit longer, more than welcome to do so. When you're ready to release, we'll gently begin to press down into the floor, and we'll walk ourselves up to sit. Taking your time, no rush. In the same way we naturally arrived into the shape, we'll take our time as we unravel. You might stay seated and take a little side body stretch, take a little twist. Maybe your body guides you forward into child's pose, or you come to lay back down, hugging the knees into the chest. Whatever movements, counter movements you decide to take, they are significant, but there's no right or wrong. And taking as many counter movements as you need just to assist within with the contraction of the fascia as an accordion expands during the stretch, and then it contracts back. As we release into rebound, we'll find that moment to pause. Just resting comfortably, sitting, laying, being. Just breathing into this web of connection. With this meditative moment in mind, you might stay here a little bit longer if you want to. Or we'll gently begin to awaken. And sometimes we awaken with counter movement, right? Hug the knees into the chest or straighten the arms, straighten the legs, wherever you are. And then we're going to let ourselves come back up to sit if you're not already there, so that we can take deer on the opposite side. So now, coming face, forward, right shin will come in front of us, left knee behind us. Right? As I mirror you, right shin in front, left knee behind. So if I twist to the side now, you can face any direction. You might face the same direction. You might switch it up. finding your props. You might hold onto something, wrap it around your abdomen here, because maybe your hips are already stretching enough just by sitting tall. But of course, if you do want to round, you're welcome to. You can let your head lower. You can use your arms as props or stack other props around you just to assist. Right shin can be as close to your body or as far away as you want. Back left knee could be as close to the body or as far away as you want. And then you'll settle into stillness. Following internal cues as you readjust the body if needed. Breathing into this web of connection. Tissues layered one on top of the other. Woven within one another. And our web of connection here, our stillness, our concentration and focus, reminds us that we are a part of ourselves, but we are not apart from ourselves. Apart from something, insinuates separation. And sometimes the clenching and the gripping of the jaw and the shoulders and the glutes means we are apart from, we are creating separation. But again, the softening and the releasing of the layers of our body, softening, becoming more receptive within ourselves. Now we are a part of something. We are a part of our bodies again. We are reclaiming space as the tissues lengthen and elongate. I'm thinking about that here. We will be here for a few more breaths. You're more than welcome to always come out sooner if the body is asking you to, or stay for the remainder of the time. And then whenever you're ready, you might choose to stay longer. Or maybe at your next breath, we'll gently begin to press down into the floor or into our props. And we'll mindfully, slowly begin to let ourselves release. And walking ourselves out of the shape, sometimes finding counter movement even there. You might sit for a moment in deer. You might let your hands help release the legs. Your counter movements might Let you fold again. You might stay seated. You might lay back down. You might lay forward. Whatever it is, you might take a meditative seat. And just letting yourself take a moment to resonate again with the previous experience. Feeling the subtle sensations or the reverberations as the tissue fluctuates and contracts back. This helps build the new fascial pattern within the body. And it also allows our awareness and our mind to just rest for a moment, to simply be. And as we, again, feel our bodies becoming a part of something, the web of a connection, a part of our breath, a part of our muscles and bones, etc. We might want to stay a little bit longer here, and you're more than welcome to. Or when you're ready, we'll gently release from rebound, and we might take a movement or two until we come back up to sit. And take your time to get there, no rush. Okay. After our rebound, sometimes the body wants to move even more with that reclaimed space, so feel free. But I'll start talking about our next stretch. So we're going to come into straight leg pigeon. So you know how we just took deer with the left shin in front of us and the right knee behind us? If you want to come into that so that the sequence kind of helps you, feel free. But we are going to shift to that outer left hip. So this right knee, I need to bring it behind me a little bit. I need to straighten my left leg. So now, instead of sitting on my glute, I want to sit to the outer left hip. And there's so many ways to come into this shape. So I try to explain it different every time because we all learn differently. So if I'm in deer, right, I'm kind of more on my left glute. But now I want to bring that right leg behind me. I want to straighten my left leg. I want to shift onto the outer left hip. I'm resting on my IT band, essentially, so that my knee and my foot roll with me to the floor, right? Everything kind of rolls. It might not touch the floor, but we're rolling. If the left knee bends a little bit, that's fine, right? Because it's not completely like deer. It's not really hugged in. It's just slightly bent. But as you come into the shape, I'm going to come into it from the other way, just so that you can see. Right leg behind, left leg lengthens here. I'm going to shift to the outer left hip, and then I'm going to stack up some pillows and blankets, and I'm going to prop here as this left leg lengthens, right? So it's reaching towards my right. My right hand is here. I can hold on to my left calf. And just to mirror you, though, and face forward, left leg lengthens, that right knee bends behind. You might, prop your left hip bone, right, with a blanket or a sweater or something if it's uncomfortable. You might stack your pillows here, maybe some blocks underneath the pillows, because we're folding over that left thigh. The knee and the foot rotate with us as we fold. Sometimes it's even comfortable to prop that elbow on the left side of you, because it kind of feels like we're falling into it. So you might take a pillow or blanket and prop. Maybe you take your props horizontal and you just lay across them. But essentially, our left leg is elongating and our right knee is bending in. If you need anything about that, let me know. Ooh, step on my phone. Your back right knee, you can play around with it. It could be as close or as far as you'd like it to be. And that right hip again is internally rotating. So if the knee doesn't touch the floor for any reason, maybe you take a pillow or a blanket, prop the knee so that it's not hanging. And then here we are in straight leg pigeon. You might be noticing the stretch in the outer hip, IT band, inner leg, calf muscle. There's no pressure in needing to locate one specific stretch because we're allowing the body to stretch wherever it feels the need to. Right, so we were talking about yard work before. If you're doing yard work, then maybe today your straight leg pigeon, you're going to feel it in your shoulders, perhaps. But then weeks from now, after a long hike, you're going to feel it only in your calves. Our bodies are receptive to what we do. So we are tuning in, listening, receiving, and assisting ourselves as we gently soften. As we gently let go of any clenching or gripping. Our practice also assists in the stretching and rewiring of scar tissue. Relayering, right? It assists in the relayering of scar tissue. So what I mean by that is I have a few injuries to the arch of my foot. And if it is tense for whatever reason, when I'm in straight leg pigeon, I will feel the stretch all the way into the arch of my foot. In the same way I would want to take a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball and rub along the sole of my foot, I can receive that just from the stretch. And our stretch is saying to our bodies, hey, 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 don't stay like that. Continue to elongate, continue to receive the breath, reclaim your space within the body instead of nodding up. Making ourselves seem smaller and apart from instead of a part of. So I'll give you your space. We do have a few more breaths here. Of course, if you want to release sooner and take it to rebound, we'll meet you there. If you'd like to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to. Once you're ready to release, we'll gently press down into the floor. And you'll just glide your way out of straight leg pigeon. You might forward fold. You might face the side of the room as you do that. You might come forward into tabletop, cat-cow, child's pose. You might just let yourself lay. And it's this freeing aspect. Your body feels simultaneously heavy from gravity, but light from the spaciousness, and you just let yourself rest wherever the body takes you. And then we pause here, beginning to feel the flutter of sensation that's within the body, that's real, stimulating your nervous system. We can feel this recalibration of our nervous system. We can even talk about the vagus nerve if we want to. As we allow our body to get this full reset, calming our brain waves so that we're in this more restful state. Still aware, even more aware, but restful. So just taking another few breaths here. And if you want to stay a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do so. If you would like to come into straight leg pigeon on the right side, then we might take a few counter movements as we awaken. Whatever that might be for the arms, for the legs, for the torso. But then we'll let ourselves come back up to sit slowly, taking straight leg pigeon to the right. So just for fun, I'll explain it a different way. If you're in pigeon right now, or sleeping swan for yin, your right knee will come up towards you, left leg back long, right? But if you sit on that right hip, straighten the right leg, and just continue to fold, you're walking yourself into straight leg pigeon. So right leg is elongated now. Your left hand might reach for the foot, right? You know that you're in the shape, left hand to your right foot. Left knee rotating but inwards and staying close or opening up farther, depending on what's best for your hip. You might prop your right outer hip. Right? If you feel like you're slouching into your body, if you feel like you're falling over, you might prop the hip, and that could just assist you, whether it's skeletally and muscularly, all the lees. It could assist you. Figuratively, literally, energetically, physically. Okay, I'll stop, but I'm making myself laugh. So if you want to try the blanket underneath the hip, feel free. Your props, right? Blocks, blankets, whether things are laying vertically, laying horizontally, however it assists you for your forehead, your forearms. And we're also not trying to fight the right leg. So it's more than welcome to have a slight bend to the knee, right? It's not going to bend so much like deer. It's just going to have this slight little bend, again, as we're folding. And no rush at all. You'll close your eyes and welcome yourself to stillness. Of course, readjusting as often as you need. You might take a few breaths to Just observe the scenario and observe what's going on. And then you might begin to let the body soften. Allow your awareness to glide through the layers of your bones and the layers of your muscles. Is there any place that we can let go of unnecessary tension? Letting go of unnecessary control. It might be in the temples of your forehead or your eyebrows. It might be along your scalp. And checking in with the breath from time to time. You might check in with the gaze at the backs of the eyelids. And just letting the eyes look and stare in front of you, noticing your internal screen. Just observing the body and witnessing the body, our web of connection. We'll be here in straight leg pigeon for a few more breaths. Releasing beforehand if you desire. And then from here, you might take another breath where you are. And then releasing from straight leg pigeon whenever you'd like. One moment at a time here, one breath at a time, one movement at a time. You might be coming into the similar rebounds, like maybe just energetically today, your body continues to guide you into the same shape, that's fine. Maybe depending on the stretch, it'll be different. Just take as many counter movement as you need, and then you'll settle into that rebound space. You might see it as a physical pause. You might see it as a meditative pause, maybe a blend of both. Just staying present within your body and present within your being. Even in our rebounds, we'll take a few breaths to soften, letting go of any clenching that may have occurred from the stretch to the rebound. If you'd like to stay here a little bit longer, you're more than welcome to do so. But when you're ready, we're going to let ourselves awaken, maybe with a roll to the wrist, a roll to an ankle, whatever it might be. And we're going to talk about some options as we take a stretch upon our bellies, but you can either come up to sit as we're talking about it, or maybe, also just come to your belly and then play it by ear. So I'm going to give two options depending on if you want to just stretch the lower body or if you want to stretch the upper body, but either way will be on the belly. So how do I want to lay? Let me lay this way. Option one is going to be for the legs in terms of half frog, but we are on our stomachs as we come into this shape. You may or may not take a blanket underneath your hip bones. If you feel like your hip bones dig into the floor at this point, you can just do it for comfort. But as we let ourselves lay, maybe you have a pillow underneath the head. Maybe your arms are going to prop here. It's up to you. But you'll take your left leg and you'll draw that knee up into the chest. The foot can go wide, the foot can be close, but maybe that's just an inner thigh, enough of an inner thigh stretch for you as you rest here. Okay, so option one won't be to stretch the arms, but you'll stretch the legs. If you need a blanket underneath the knee, a blanket underneath the ankle, you prop. Or you'll come into twisted wing if you want to do upper body stuff. So your left arm will press down and your right arm, no, I said it backwards. Your right arm presses down and your left arm threads underneath you. So we're starting with the left leg for frog, left arm underneath for twisted wing. But I'm doing it opposite because you can only see one side of the body. So that's why I get confused. Anyway, left arm threads underneath you. So this is kind of like thread the needle, like in a vinyasa or hatha class. Left arm threads underneath you as you lay down. Your forehead can come to a pillow or you can turn to your left cheek. But let me switch arms just so that you can see it from the opposite side. So if this was my left arm, you can see that the shoulder is somewhat lifting. So if you need a pillow or a blanket underneath the shoulder, you can still have a pillow or blanket for the head. And you can just prop that shoulder if it's really high. Just depends on your flexibility and mobility already. Okay, so feel free to explore whatever you'd like to do, frog or twisted wing. You can technically do both, but I just didn't sequence that. But if you want to blend both, you can. The thing with twisted wing, though, is with that left arm threaded underneath you, your right palm can stay at the top of the mat, or you can pick up that right arm, bend at the elbow, and bind behind the back, and your right arm will rest on your lower back. Legs can be as close together or as wide as you want them to be. You'll kind of find that sweet spot, and your glutes soften from there, your thighs, your knees, your calves soften from there. Whether the legs are as wide as a V or maybe come closer together. Take a breath as you settle into your shape. Beginning to let go or just soften gently through the muscles of the face, the jaw, the tongue. Relaxing through the sides of the neck, collarbones and the shoulder blades. You might feel your chest release and even the fascia muscles around the heart softening. Your rib cage relaxing, diaphragm fully breathing now. Whatever shape you're in, softening through the upper abdomen, the lower belly. May have already relaxed through the hips and softened through the glutes. And letting the legs release into the floor as you soften through the heels of the feet. And just staying present, whatever that might mean for you. Within the web of connection that we're focusing upon, or the webs of connection that are around us, among us, beneath us, above us. Another few breaths here, a few more moments. And of course, if you'd like to stay a little bit longer, feel free. Or wherever you are, you might awaken the arms, unravel the arms. If you're in twisted wing, awaken the arms as you release from frog, half frog. And then maybe you let the arms just rest out in front of you or underneath you, behind you. Take a moment to feel the subtle sensations within the shoulders, the hips, the spine, resting on your belly. You might bend into the knees, and as you kick up the feet, you can gently rock the hips from side to side if you'd like. Once your legs relax, if you come up for a Sphinx pose, a low cobra, an up dog, anything, if you'd like to pull the heart forward, and you might even transition all the way back into child's pose. Maybe your body just stays where you are. Maybe your body rolls onto your back. Wherever it is that you'd like to go, just let yourself go there. Maybe even resting on your side body will feel comforting, just doing something that's comforting. And just letting yourself be present here. Reflecting upon that previous stretch, feeling its imprints, settling into the muscle memory of the body. If you'd like to stay here a little bit longer, you are more than welcome to stay and rebound. If you'd like to awaken, though, we can start talking about the next stretch, or you can meet us there whenever you're ready. But we'll come back to the belly, no rush, take any counter movements along the way. Maybe readjusting our props now that we're coming into this opposite side. If you're going to just take frog, your right knee will come up towards you. You'll let your body rest, maybe pillows or blankets, forehead down, or you can turn to the right or left cheek, letting your arms rest wherever they may. If you're going to come into twisted wing, left palm presses down into the floor, right arm threads underneath that space. Same idea, pillow or blanket, forehead comes down, or you can turn to the right cheek. Left arm resting at the top corner of the mat, or if you want to bend at the elbow and bind behind the back there, you can. And whether it's frog or twisted wing, you might need a prop underneath the shoulder or a prop underneath the hip. Excuse me. Again, if you're in twisted wing, you might incorporate both of them, be in half frog for either leg. Both legs will give a different stretch depending on which one you choose to do now that we're twisting to the right. So all the different variations are just spread across here like cards on a table, and you can choose whichever one you'd like to explore today. And some days we might be physically or energetically eager to try different variations. Other days we might just be physically or energetically done, right? And it's like we're lucky that we're here on the mat. So the bare minimal is what you might choose to do. And there's benefit in both because we're meeting our webbed connection. We're meeting ourselves exactly where we're at. And that's how our practice enhances. We get better at understanding our bodies when we meet ourselves exactly where we're at instead of living to these unlimited standards that we might put upon ourselves. And so as we soften here, breathe into the body, just receiving from the stretch. Softening as many times as you'd like. We'll be in our stretch for a few more breaths. And whether you choose to stay for another breath or two, or just know you can begin to release from your half frog or twisted wing whenever you're ready. Very slowly unraveling the arms, unraveling the legs. The body awakens just enough to release from the stretch. You might rest on your belly a little bit more, just so that we can kick up the feet and rock into the hips and just gently windshield wiper the legs. If the body stays here, maybe meets in a child's pose, maybe rolls on the back or side body. All options are good options, so just let the body guide you. We might notice some cleansing breaths or reclaim space. Just taking this moment to pause, this moment to be a part of your body and to be a part of the web of your connections. And within this space, you might just take another breath where you are. And then whether you stay here in your rebound, you can stay in rebound. Or we're going to gently roll on our back so that we can take our reclined butterfly. And I mean, if you're in child's pose, you might come up to sit. If you're on your belly, you might just roll to your back. You might come into child's pose and come up to sit anyway, just to reorganize your props or the space of your practice. But eventually you will come back to lay down. You might have a pillow for underneath your head. And in our reclined butterfly, the soles of the feet together, knees come out wide. Oh no, I thought I knocked over my water. But I didn't, it's over there. With the butterfly, if you don't feel like you need a prop underneath your thighs, you're more than welcome to just not use one. If you have blocks, books, pillows, blankets, you might prop your outer knees and thighs just to assist in the stretch, right? Because our goal isn't to stretch the deepest, the quickest. We're just supportive. If the prop takes away too much of the stretch, then you'll know that's a sign to release, or maybe use a thinner prop. Maybe a block is too thick. So as you explore this, if your body is also feeling a little cool, you might take a blanket on your hips or just to cover some of your body or all of your body. Your choice, whether you keep your hands resting on your belly, along the floor, maybe you'll take cactus up above the head. You might need some extra blankets underneath your tailbone or to support your low back, right? Just depending on the natural curve. And so begin to settle here. Arriving into the webbed connection of the body. where the crown of the head and the soles of the feet don't know any separation because to them there is none. This is the same type of webbed connection or feeling of someone that you know that doesn't live near you, right? They live in another county or another part of the state or another whole state, or they live in another different, country. I mean, but there's still this webbed connection. Where there is no separation, there is no lack. It's this consistent web that really the fascial system and the mycelium system within the earth are two ways that we might be able to tangibly sense it. And that webbed connection via technology and these other human aspects, metaphysics and quantum physics and all that isn't as tangible, I guess, with our fingertips, but tangible as a sense within the body. Unless you can think of something else I might be missing. But these nets that live around us, connecting things. Our breath sensing that and being with that. Continuing to let go of any clenching or gripping. We'll be in our reclined butterfly. A few more breaths here. We might keep the legs here for another moment. But if our arms are ready, we'll begin to lower them down towards our outer thighs and hips. And we can lift one knee at a time, bringing our feet flat to the floor. Then the feet might walk out a little bit wider, and you can windshield wiper the knees if you'd like to. Rocking the hips from side to side. Maybe it will feel good to hug the knees into the chest and rock gently side to side. As you extend your legs up to the ceiling, your legs can dangle as you roll into your ankles and flex and point into your toes. But let yourself take any final movements from the release of butterfly or just the release of the entire practice, because our final rebound here will be in our Shavasana. So just moving slowly, no rush to this, but if you want certain props around you to support your Shavasana, you might go get those pillows, blankets, bolsters ready now.
Whether you take Shavasana on your back, on your belly, on your side body, truly whatever will be most supportive. And no rush. As you take your time here, you'll arrive whenever you're ready. We'll gently reclose the eyes, taking another sweep of consciousness, allowing the entire body to relax. We get to gently absorb our practice. Now our entire practice layering and settling into the muscle memory, this memory of being, where we get to feel a pulse or a shift. As we allow ourselves to settle, feel held and cradled within our web of connection, we'll arrive into our meditative experience, settling into Shavasana.
Very gently. Let's begin to deepen the breath. Just slowly and patiently noticing the presence of your inhales and the release of your exhales. And coming back into the space of your body. You might then come to notice the placement of the hands and feet as you begin to wiggle through your fingers and toes and roll into your wrists and ankles. If it feels good for you, stretching the arms up and above the head, full body stretch as we lengthen. And if you want to bend into your knees, you might just bring your feet flat to the floor, or you can hug your knees in and rock gently side to side. Maybe coming into this full little egg shape and drawing your forehead up to your knees, any amount, until you roll either to the right or left. And as you pause on your side body and feel this release of the back, you can stay here if you want. You can stay here and end your practice, or gently press down into the floor and come back up to sit. Whatever is best for you and your experience. Wherever you do decide to close practice, we'll again soften the eyes and find stillness. Just taking a moment of reflection here. And feeling the natural space within the body, the expansion within the breath, and clarity within the heart and mind. Hands can stay relaxed, or your hands might rest in prayer or rest on the body. And you can either take one cleansing breath or join me for the sound of Om as we close our class together. Let's breathe in. Om. Gently bowing the chin to the chest. Thank you for practicing with me this evening, being elevated through yoga. Namaste.